People versus Douglas Heisel. This is case 1486041. Sir, are you Douglas Heisel?
I'm here on that matter.
Right. Because I've never seen you before, so I want to make sure you're the right person, not somebody else who's here standing in for him.
No, I'm the authorized representative for this estate.
If you don't tell me if you're Mr. Heisel, I'm not sure if I can do your case for you. It's a pretty simple question.
Well, no, I mean, you're asking me, which Mr. Heisel are you talking about? I'm Douglas William of the Heisel family. I'm a man.
Right.
Okay.
You're that person. I'm sorry.
No, I'm not. I'm not a person. Please straighten the record out. A person is an office that's held by a U.S. citizen. I'm not that person. I'm a man appearing before you as myself, unrepresented, as the agreement was between me and Mr. Cordova.
Thank you, Judge Cordova. And this is Ms. Rowland.
Right.
And she represents the people in this case. And the matter's before the court on a 995 motion.
Well, it's a motion to dismiss in the nature of a 995.
Okay.
Okay. I can't use your copyrighted policies and your copyrighted codes and procedures. So I had to do it in the nature of a 995. Plus, they tried to get around the fact that crimes were committed against me and that I put it in record and they didn't deal with it. They wanted to say, okay, you got to bring it up in a 995, when in fact, I don't. I brought it up in a demand for dismissal.
Thank you.
Okay.
There were some pleadings that were offered to the court last week, not filed in the usual and customary form, but the court ordered that they be accepted, but I accepted those June 1st, 2017. Ms. Rowland, did you receive that document entitled Motion to Dismiss with Prejudice in the nature of a 995 motion?
Your Honor, our office did receive on May 31st the document you're referring to. It was stamp marked. Our office received it on the 31st. I was somewhat confused as to how that filing process occurred. I was made aware that it was set for today's date, Friday afternoon at about 4. I know that our office attempted to send a runner over to this court to check into when it was filed. We were unable to do so. I know that the motion that was attached came with a
proof of service by mail.
Service that was dated, that it had been placed into the mail. Mr. Heisel signed that on dated May 24th of 2017. So, although the people's position is that it was filed late, it's untimely for today's hearing, I did, despite that, go ahead and respond to it. I do have something I can file with the court's permission. I am providing Mr. Heisel a copy of our response, and if the court will allow me to file that today.
Thank you.
May I approach?
Sure. Well, that was the first question I was going to ask, was whether the people had received the motion to dismiss and whether you were prepared to go forward on it. And now it looks as though you have prepared this. Are you ready to go forward on the motion this afternoon, Ms. Rowland?
I certainly can, although I know the court just received our response that the court is inclined and would like to continue it for a short period of time. So the court has opportunity to review our response. I have no opposition to that. I leave that as the court's discretion.
And then I would ask you, Mr. Heisel, because now you've received some extra papers that came from Ms. Rowland. So the same way I was asking her, are you ready to go? When did you get the paperwork from Mr. Heisel? Now you see you have some new paperwork here. If you would like to have a chance to read through this, because you're just receiving it for the first time, and you want to respond, then as a courtesy, I would ask you if you want to go forward this afternoon or get a different date.
Ma'am, I can go forward right now. I don't believe anything they say in this motion has any bearing on this. It's just little excuses to try to get around the fact that they've committed crimes against me. It's in black and white. They can't get out of it. It's fraud on the court. It demands dismissal. The lead officer in the case filed a false report, attempted to plant methamphetamine. Okay? It's right there, in black and white. So all you have to do is look at the report and look at the preliminary hearing testimony. There's a false report. That's a crime. That's fraud on the court.
So, it sounds like you're ready to proceed, Ms. Rowland. I did, read the preliminary hearing transcript.
Okay.
I did read previously the motion to dismiss filed by Mr. Heisel. I am aware of the obligations that the court has under a 995 motion. So I think since you're both present, I would allow argument on that, and then I can either see if I'm able to decide it now or to give a decision, since there's an additional pleading. So, Mr. Heisel, this is your opportunity. It's your motion to dismiss. This is when you get to tell me what's on your mind.
Okay. Well, the night in question where this supposed crime took place, I was well within my rights to break the windows in my own vehicle to get keys that I locked in it. That was my choice and my decision. Okay? It's nobody else's business. There was no crime committed. There's no victim. There's no objective witness to any crime. There's nothing to sustain a criminal complaint against me. All right? I was beat up, arrested. They tried to plant dope on me. Okay? That's their bad. And I called the FBI and a few other things, and I guess one of them decided not to go along with it because all of a sudden he never found the dope. I mean, it's... Let me see if I can get my language down. It's BS from the gate. All right? First off, to have a criminal complaint, there has to be a law that's been broken. I broke no law. All right? They had no right to come up and accost me or anything else. It's my right not to speak to an officer unless I've committed a crime. I don't have to talk to him. It's supposed to be a voluntary interaction, and I wasn't volunteering. I also understand the corporate nature of the county and the state. I've got their EIN numbers. I got their DUNS numbers. The court's a separate private corporation. This is a bar court, okay? I'm asking for a court of record, a real superior court under common law, which is required for a man in California state, which is still a republic, okay? I've made the court aware of all this. Now, it's before the court in black and white that a crime was committed against me. This man filed a false report, all right, and got promoted to a sergeant later, okay? Now, the fact that he filed a false report under 1118.1 of the Penal Code, and the fact that he conspired under 18 U.S.C. 241 to violate my rights, to not have dope planted on me and not get the crap kicked out of me for not doing business with the corporate mercenary, all right, he committed a crime. I didn't commit any crime. Yet I've been, for 2 years, you've been dragging me into this bar court trying to raise revenue on me from bonds that have been invested and keeping this case going. I mean, that's how the county gets its revenue. It sucks everybody that they can. All right? I know the scheme, but I'm not a part of that. I'm not a part of your corporation, and I'm not a part of this statute. As I said, statutes are the rules of the society. I don't belong to your law society, your legal society. Okay? I'm bound by common law. I'm bound by the fact that I can't do anything to violate my fellow man's rights or harm them physically, mentally, or in any other way. Other than that, I'm free to follow what I need to do to have happiness, peace, and live my life. And that's what I was doing. And I chose not to speak to an officer that night and told him that. It was that officer that escalated this. Okay? He turned this into what it was. Had me assaulted, beat up, all of my stuff was stolen. I was taken to jail. I was released from jail and complained about it, and the district attorney's office filed more bogus charges and allegations against me to raise my bail from $50,000 to $250,000 for making complaints. So, I mean, this whole thing has been fraud on the court, retaliation, and a criminal act against me, and a criminal conspiracy that's kept going. I put it before Mr. Cordova, a man acting as a judge sometimes, or I should say executive administrator, because judges don't enforce statutes. And because I put it before him, he had a duty to report that crime to the nearest investigative agency not involved in the crime. Or it's misprision of a felony, and under 18 U.S.C. 3, he becomes an accessory. Because he swore an oath to, above anything, protect my rights as a man. And my rights as a man were abused that night by a corporate mercenary acting as a security guard for a corporation that I'm not a part of. Okay? How much different is that than if a McDonald's security guard came and beat the crap out of me because I wouldn't talk to him? Okay? It's a fact that the state of California is a corporation. It's a fact that every agency and every county, city is a political subdivision or corporation. You're all bound by the Clearfield Doctrine. Okay? It says when any corporation comes down from its sovereignty and enters into commerce, it's just another 14th Amendment citizen. So you have no rights as a government to come at me, and this officer had no rights to mess with me at all. I have rights as a man. He has duties and obligations. He has a duty to protect my rights as a man, and that's one of the obligations that he has, so he has the privilege of wearing that uniform. Okay?
Mr. Heisel, let me direct your attention in your motion, because I am handling this based on the pleadings that I have before the court. In your motion on page 5,
Yes, ma'am.
I thought that it was helpful because you did cite me to some of the pages in the preliminary hearing transcript. You understand that when a court has the obligation to decide a matter like this, what I'm guided by is the evidence that was presented at the preliminary hearing.
Excuse.
And I don't use the police reports. I only use the preliminary hearing. So you've made some references to police reports and the preliminary hearing transcripts. I'm not able to consider those police reports because I don't have it before me. I can only consider that part of the preliminary hearing.
I've got
Is there anything else you wanted? No, I don't.
No, I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure that I get this on record, and that it makes a good. I would like the transcripts of this hearing, please.
Certainly. You have to pay for them.
That's okay.
No,
that's fine. I just want to make sure that I get all this on record, so that when if you don't dismiss it, when I go to the next genre, I've got a good record of what was said and what was placed before you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm trying to give you the opportunity to say that, and as I say, I looked at your pleadings, and I saw the part that referenced the actual transcript of the preliminary hearing, which would give me the opportunity to consider that and to make a determination about whether the magistrate in hearing the preliminary hearing reached a decision that was within his authority and within what the range of the judge hearing the evidence. At the time of your preliminary hearing, you were represented by Mr. Gardner, so both sides had attorneys, and the witnesses did testify, and there were exhibits that were admitted before the court at that hearing. So, are there any other references in the preliminary hearing that you want me to consider, Mr. Heisel?
Well, yes, the fact that every witness that was asked never saw me commit a crime, and never talked to anybody that saw me commit a crime. Okay, there's no evidence of any crime being committed. If there's no evidence of any crime being committed, how was I arrested for false resisting arrest? I don't have to cooperate with illegal arrest or a violation of my rights. I don't have to speak to this man. Now, I didn't assault him. I didn't attack him. I just wasn't going to cooperate with an illegal arrest and an abuse of power, an abuse of authority. I don't have to. That's my right. And you can't turn my right into a privilege, and you can't punish me for exerting my right. I put all that in there also. So.
Right. Well, I saw, certainly when I read it, plenty of opportunities where this wouldn't have had to turn into the situation that it is.
I'm sure.
If there had been even some minimal